Hey everyone, happy Sunday. Welcome to episode 10 of Tasha Journeys Live, where I will be talking to you all today about debt payoff strategies. It's first Sunday, and I typically make this live Q&A. I had a ton of debt payoff questions that came to me after I did a live on your net worth. So I decided to just make it a whole stream about debt payoff. But I got a couple things that I want to cover first. Hey, Michelle. Hey, Ruth Ken. I'm so glad y'all here this Sunday. A couple things before going into the debt payoff strategies. First and foremost, after the live last Sunday, I had horrible news. One of my closest friends called me and told me that her mom got scammed out of her life savings, all of her life savings. So $80,000 gone. So I want to just remind you all of financial scams and tell you a little bit about what happened, because she's sharing it on her social media and she's like, tell everyone that you can. So I don't know if you all have seen the movie Beekeeper, but it is a I'm gonna change this a little bit just so I can just talk about the scam piece and let me know uh if you can hear me okay. I'm trying to use my mic just so the audio could be a little bit better. We gonna see. And all right, so scam alert. So like I was saying, one of my closest friends, her mom was scammed out of her life savings. So I just wanted to bring attention to the scam. Her mom received an email similar to like the movie on Beekeeper. Felicia Rashad was at her computer. She got a pop up saying that her computer had a virus on it. So she called the number to get it corrected. To get the virus removed. In this situation, my friend's mother, she got an email saying that McAfee, uh, her McAfee annual subscription had renewed. And if she wanted to cancel, she had like 5 days or whatever to cancel and get a refund. So she ended up calling the number saying that she never had this purchase and that she needed to get a refund. And of course, they asked for her bank account information and she gave it to them because she thought that she was going to get a refund for something that didn't actually ever hit her account. So just be aware of it. My friend's mother is 75 and she really just got scammed. Like within a matter of minutes, all the money was taken from her account. And so my friend, she's working to try to get recovery from that. She has contacted authorities, made a formal police report about the situation. But just my PSA to y'all, like, make sure you're having conversations with your parents if they're older about not calling any um, quote unquote organization to get a refund, or if someone calls them, do not confirm any information. I know it can sound like, okay, who's still falling for that? But sometimes people forget it's not just older people, they are more subjected to scams. Um, Elderly, senior citizens, like I said, my friend's mother, 75, and then teenagers are really prone to get scammed. I've even had, like, with the spoofs, I've had when I got into a car accident a few months ago, like a hospital call, and I'm thinking it was a hospital that I was at, and they wanted to confirm stuff. I'm like, no, I'm not confirming anything with you. I'll call the number back. And they were like frustrated, like, well, giving me information. And I'm like, I won't call the number back that I have. And it actually was the hospital, but I just don't have time. And then I actually did get spoofed around that same time from a person saying they wanted to confirm my date of birth and the last four of my social, because of a doctor bill or something. So again, even if you see Ascension Health or Trinity Health, wherever, I'm using like names I know in Michigan, even if you see those names pop up on your phone to confirm something, it could still be a scam. But my friend's mother got scammed because she called the number in the email and they drained her accounts. So pretty unfortunate. My friend does have a GoFundMe. if you have it in your heart to give, you can do so. I've dropped a link to the GoFundMe just to try to make some recovery. I have given, I'll Zelle my friend because GoFundMe takes out the fee. But yeah, just so y'all aware, make sure you're having conversations, reminding people not to give out their personal information when they get an email, clicking any links, or even if a phone number appears on your phone, like a bank or anything, don't give out the information. So I just wanted to start off with that scam alert. And I did have one question, no, two questions about a business. And I going off the top of my head, one of the questions I received just because I did say first Sundays is live Q&A. And the question was, can you have more than one LLC? Yes, you can. You can have more than one LLC. You have as many LLCs as you want. um, but I'll go into I'll maybe do like a business, more of a business overview on another live. But let's get into the debt stuff today. So this is the debt strategies that I want to go over today. So every time I pull something up, I always be like, wait, did I spell that right? Do that ever happen to y'all? If y'all at work or something and you present and you're like, wait a minute, I could have swore I double checked that, triple checked it. So whenever I hit share, I'll be like, wait, did that word spell right? But anyway, bankruptcy looked like it's spelled wrong. And I think it's right. But now that I shared it, it looks like it's not spelled right. But anyway, so these are the bankruptcy. These are the debt payoff strategies I will go over today. And I also will share how I paid off all of my debt, and I use the debt snowball method. I'm going to be going over that at the end. If you're familiar with the debt snowball method, I did remix it. I didn't do it the typical way, so I will go over that. So make sure you stay tuned until the end if you're familiar with these methods. I always say I take a little bit from what I learned and kind of make it my own. So these are the things I will be covering today. Let's start off with bankruptcy. I mean, sometimes it comes to that where you may need to file bankruptcy because you just have so much debt. Your debt is like 2 times your salary or something like that, and you just feel like there's no way you can get out of it. Hey, all I would say was just consult with an attorney about that. And if you are low income, um, if if you receive any public assistance, you should contact your state's legal aid department to see if they offer bankruptcy services for free, because that is a thing a lot of people are not aware of. I think it varies by state, but I do want to point that out. So if you receive public assistance of any kind, you could qualify to get an attorney provided by the state to file your bankruptcy proceedings. So I just want to share that tidbit, and then I'll just go into um, debt settlement and debt management. So if you have any questions as I'm going through all of this, make sure you drop them in the comment section, and I'll get to them. Also, make sure you hit that like button for me. It really does help the video get shown out to other people on YouTube. And of course, hit that share button if you care. And the next thing I want to talk about is debt settlement and management. The main thing I want to point out with debt settlement and management companies is your credit score will probably tank a lot faster doing this way before you see improvement. I really do not recommend people go with a debt settlement or they call debt relief company, because what this is, they'll market it to you as, if you're overwhelmed with debt, let's say you have $80,000 a day, and a lot of it's medical debt and it's credit cards, and you're just like, it's too many lenders to pay off. I'd rather just have a debt relief company maybe help me get rid of some of the debt, because that's how they'll market it to you. They'll say, we're going to work with your creditors to settle the debt, meaning they'll probably say, if you have a medical bill that's $8,000, we're going to work with your with the collection agencies to get that down to a lower amount. And that may be true. Hey, Dr. Linda, thank you for joining. And just everybody that came through, thank you all for showing up, talking about debt strategy. So if you have any questions, drop them below. But Debt settlement, debt management, I just don't think it's advantageous just because this is something that you can do on your own. And for the debt settlement or management plan to actually work, you have to be in like a 90-day no payment for them to start negotiating. So, for example, if you're current with all of your bills and you're just like, it's just overwhelming with you and you feel like you're going to start getting behind, if you work with a debt settlement company or relief management company, for them to negotiate the debts with your lenders, you have to be delinquent, which means that once you sign on with the debt settlement management company, they're acting on your behalf. You can no longer contact the lenders directly. They're working on your behalf. That's one thing I don't like. The second thing is you're going to have to be forced to not pay your bills and your credit score is going to drop. And then that's when they'll be able to negotiate lowering whatever bill that you have. So my thing is you can do that on your own. I don't recommend you not paying your bill, but you can call and try to negotiate. Will it take some time? Yes. But if you're concerned about your credit score as you're paying off debt, you definitely do not want to go with a debt relief or management company. That's just my own 2 cents. You know, my takeaway from doing that. Hey, Sandra. So I've covered bankruptcy, debt settlement, management. Um, like I said, not a fan of debt settlement or management at all. I think it really is a ripoff, and you will really end up damaging your credit score and not even realize it because they don't advertise that. They just advertise the relief. The third method I want to go over is debt consolidation loans. So I'm going to be talking about student loan consolidations, home equity loans, and consolidation loans slash personal loans. And what this does is if you go to a credit union or a bank, you are going to consolidate all your bills so you can have one monthly payment. So instead of having 15 payments going to different lenders, you're going to have one payment. And that's just with a normal debt consolidation or personal loan. Certain debt consolidation does allow you to take out like a business type of debt consolidation, but overall is basically a personal loan that you will receive typically a lower interest rate because your credit cards usually have between 21%, 30% interest rates. So you can get a personal loan for maybe 7 to 9% right now. And the advertisement will be, you're going to have lower monthly payments and it's going to reduce the stress for you. So I would, I mean, I like my method the best, but I understand that's not going to be for everybody. If you're just starting to get disciplined with your finances, some type of consolidation method may work best for you just so you can start getting on the right track. So when I work with people, I don't always encourage that snowball just because it worked for me and a lot of other people. That just may not be your style because you're like, I'm just not disciplined enough, and that's just not going to motivate me to do another method. So a debt consolidation loan may be advantageous for you. So again, that's you getting one loan to pay off all your debts, and you're instead of you making multiple payments, you're making one payment. Now, I would take a debt consolidation loan, a personal loan, over a home equity loan any day of the week. I do not think unless you are taking out a home equity loan to actually make improvements on your home. Same thing with refinancing your mortgage to take out the equity you have. I would never use that for debt because why would you take something secured, a secure debt to pay off unsecured debt? Now I've had a live on here where my one of my friends came on. She doesn't agree with me, and that's fine. So she gave her perspective on why it's a good thing. I don't think that even if you have medical bills and all of that, like you should consolidate by refinancing your main mortgage or taking out a home equity loan because guess what? If you fall behind on that payment, you could potentially lose your house. So I would rather deal with creditors calling me or maybe garnishing my wages if it came to that, if you're behind on a car payment and all of that versus me losing my house because I'm not making home equity payments, or I refinance to take my equity out and now I can't afford any of it. So home equity loans should just be used for that to build equity in your home, meaning that you want to take out equity to put a roof on your house. You want to refinish your basement. You want to, I don't know, I can't think of, you want to maybe add an addition to your home. Like take out a home equity loan to actually increase the value of your home, not to pay off unsecured debt, not to pay off student loans, not to pay off a car. Do not do that. So I would rather you take out a personal loan or consolidation loan to reduce your payments and be a little less stressed than taking out a home equity loan. And so let's move up to the student loan consolidation. So if you have student loans, there's so many options to consolidate. You can consolidate only your federal loans together through the federal government, or you can consolidate only your private loans and have one payment, or you can take out a completely private loan and finance your private and your federal loans together. Um, it just all depends on what you feel comfortable with interest rates, and whether it's a fixed rate or a variable rate. So a lot of people don't realize that certain consolidation loans actually do have a variable rate. And I meant to bring this up for a home equity loan too, or a line of credit on your home. Those sometimes can be variable rates and you not realize it. So I'm going to go back to the home equity loan for a minute. I'm going to take this off. I just like to have words up so y'all can see it. People are just hopping in. Y'all can see what I'm covering today on the live. But I want to take a moment to just talk about variable interest rates when it comes to any type of consolidation, because this is what happened with the 2008 crash. a lot of why people couldn't pay their homes was because they had variable rates. So a lot of times now you'll see uh, home equity loans, home equity lines of credit. They'll be advertised with a lower rate, but sometimes that's because they have a variable rate. After 3 years, it goes into a variable rate. So that's just something to keep in mind when you're looking at consolidating, even for your student loans or any type of, usually personal loans or consolidation loans. Usually those are typically always fixed. But where you get into the sneak of the variable rates and you not pay attention, that's usually when it comes to consolidating your student loan debt, or when you get out a home equity loan or a line of credit. So that means you can have a set payment of $1,000 a month for the first 3 years. And then the variable rate kicks in. We don't know what that rate's going to be. It just depends on what is put out at what the new interest rate will be. So you could go from having $1,000 monthly payment with your consolidation loan to a $1,500 consolidation loan payment, right? And it could be that drastic because you have a variable rate. So again, when you are looking at uh, consolidating with your student loans or your home equity or all of that, make sure you have a fixed rate um, before you sign on to anything. Now, one thing with the student loans that I really want people to remember, or consider, if you consolidate your federal loans and in addition, like with your private loans, you could miss out on any income-based repayment plans if your financial situation changes. You no longer have any type of options because it's all under a private refinance if you combine your private and federal loans together. Even if you consolidate your federal loans with the federal government, you can also end up getting a variable rate or a higher fixed rate, and the payments are going to be lower because it's over a longer period of time. So one thing I always tell people is look at the total cost versus the monthly payment. If you go to buy a new car, the first thing they're going to say is how much you want to pay a month. They don't say how much you want to pay for this car. They say how much do you want to pay a month. It's the same thing when it look when we're talking about paying off your debt. If you're working with a banker, they may say, well, what are you looking for your monthly payments to be? Because they'll just keep changing the months of the term to make your payments lower, but you're paying more in interest. So don't just look at what your monthly payment reduced will be. Look at the total cost, because remember, we're looking at our net worth at the end of the day. And if the debt is going up, that means your net worth is going down. Yes, these are great points. Now it's a no for me too. Those 2000 arms, they took people out. Like, that's literally why everything crashed in 2008, because of adjustable rate mortgages. And so they don't advertise as adjustable. It starts off with, oh, it's fixed, and then like it could vary the next 5 years or whatever. So just be aware of that. And total cost. Even if I know this is not debt payoff, if you are in the market for a car, I really, really, really want you to pay attention to the terms. Now it went from 36 months was usually how much it costs to pay off a car, and these car prices are just going up. And now it's 5 years, and now it's 6 to 7 years is a standard term for paying off a car, because the cars are so expensive. So instead of saying, no one's going to ask you how much you want to pay off the door, it's going to go, what do you want your monthly rate to be? So please try. That was my car rant, but that's my rant as well when it comes to debt consolidation of any kind. And even when you get refinanced, don't just consider, I should say, the monthly cost. So I've hit the student loans, home equity loans, and consolidation. And so let's talk about the debt avalanche. This is let me take this banner off. The debt avalanche method is, and if I'm going too fast, let me know and I'll back it up. But the debt avalanche is a person looking to pay off their debts based on the interest rate. So one thing I haven't mentioned is balance transfers in this live. And when you're doing the debt avalanche method or the debt snowball method, you may want to consider doing a credit card balance transfer. If you are if you know you are disciplining your finances. Disciplining your finances means you have some sort of budget that you actually work. And this could be whether you watch my live and you do the zero-based budget, which is tracking, writing everything down, and having a plan for every dollar. Your pay yourself method, the 50-30-20 method, or the cash envelope method. Like, you're diligently on top of your money. And it's not just the afterthought. So the debt avalanche and debt snowball, I really recommend if you are actively working a plan with your finances. Not saying that you can't change, but these methods really take some discipline. So with the debt avalanche method, you have all your debt, and a snowball. You take all your debt. This means if you're on a debt-free journey, you would even put your mortgage in here. You would even put your car loan in here. If you are on the debt-free journey, and you would list out your debts to pay off on the avalanche method based on the interest rate. So you'll list your debts. Excel, I'm an Excel girl. I love Excel. I know not everyone loves Excel, but so you will open up Excel. It's the easiest way to do this is open up an Excel file and literally list all your debts. I always suggest people, even if you know what you're making monthly, if you haven't pulled that credit report in a while, pull your credit report and list all your debts according to your credit report, along with your statements and interest rates. So I actually worked with someone who was like, I've been listening to your lives, and I'm just, I was too afraid to pull my credit report. So we pulled a credit report together. So if that's you, you're not alone. And there was some stuff on that credit report that was not accurate. So be sure to look at your credit report and your score to know what's going on. But with the debt avalanche, you'll list all of them from largest to smallest according to interest rate. So typically you would list your credit cards first because they're going to have the highest interest rate. And so you'll work on paying off the balance of your credit cards according to interest rates. And then like your mortgage and your car, usually they have a lower interest rate. Those will be the things you work on paying off last. So you make the minimum payment on everything except for the loan or credit card that has a highest interest rate. And if y'all want a visual, let me know in the comments on the replay game, because I not a live video on it, but I may just make an actual regular video walking through some templates that I have that will make this a lot easier if you're a visual person and you want to see this um, on screen. I could make a video for it, not live, but just a video. So let me know in the comments, replay game. Let me know if you want to see that. But anyway, you'll focus on paying it on interest rate. Now, where the balance transfers comes into play is looking for, again, if you're disciplined, looking for credit cards that have a 0% balance transfer option for 18 months, because you can set yourself on a timeline of like, you know what? Let's say you have 3 credit cards and the total balance is $9,000 between all 3 of them, and you're paying 30% interest rate on it. You may decide, you know what, I'm going to see if I can find a credit card 0% for 18 months, and I'm going to do a balance transfer. Now, you will have to pay a 3% or 4% origination fee to do the balance transfer, but you're no longer paying that high interest. And so now you're focused on, even when you're, whether debt snowball or avalanche, you want to work on paying that off first, even if the interest is at 0, just because you have 18 months before it gets back to that high interest rate. So I do advocate, believe it or not, for balance transfers. If you are disciplined, just know that if you apply for a new credit card, your credit is going to what? It's going to drop, because it's going to mean new inquiry on your credit report. The second thing to know is, um, if you transfer the balance and you max it out, your credit score could drop a little bit more, because now you have a credit card that's maxed out, even though you're getting 0%. So those are some things to consider. But if you are fine with where your credit score is at, and you're like, you know what, it's going to take me up to 18 months to pay it off. Once you get done, your credit score is going to be fine. The inquiry is not going to have that much of an impact after 3 to 6 months anyway. And then you're going to be paying off that balance. So you're going to have more and more gap between between your credit card limit and your actual spend on a credit card. Yeah, I will definitely do that. Listen, 72 months it's insane, but these cards are like $50,000. Like it's 35,000 for like a base model car. And that used to be like the higher end car. So now it's like these car makers are just like, we just gonna keep upping this price, which is another rant on why I'm gonna be out of here. Okay, yeah, I will make a template video for y'all. I'll work on that in the next couple. Yeah, yeah, because that's kind of hard to really get a sense of it with me just talking. But you can take notes. But I'll do a visual on that as well. Hey, Tasha, just so it makes sense. But stay on, because hearing the words and then when you see me do it in the video, it'll make a lot more sense. But the main takeaway for the debt avalanche is consider doing balance transfers. If you have credit cards, consider doing balance transfers to 0% credit cards to pay them off. There are some credit cards that do allow you to get a direct deposit check. So you can actually use that as a way. It's kind of like a personal loan in a way, because it's 0% and it can be for 18 months too. That is something I do, like list all the options out for people. If they're really looking at the interest rates and really looking at the big picture, that's another option for you too. I chose not to do the debt avalanche method because I wanted to pay the debt off as fast as possible. And so I did the debt snowball method. It's really famous now, or it has been for the last few years, because of Dave Ramsey. And I did not do Financial Peace or any of his things. I did listen to his podcast when I was on my debt-free payoff journey. But what I did with his debt snowball idea or method was I still put everything in Excel. And I literally just went insane crazy with paying off my debt as fast as I could by listing my debts from the smallest balance to the highest balance. So I didn't care about interest rates. I didn't care about consolidating credit cards at first just because of my student loans had some of my student loans had the smallest balance. I had like I want to say 21 accounts I was paying with all my student loans and my credit card debt I had. Again, my credit card debt was off survival mode, buying my books, buying my food. It was not from spring breaks or shopping sprees. I wish it was, but it wasn't. And paying, that hoopty I had, paying for that stuff to get fixed so I can get to and from work. So all of my credit cards, all of my student loans. So like I had NailNet and First Mark. I had all of these listed separately. I did not consolidate my debt. And it's more of a mental thing behind it of focusing on paying off the smallest balance so you can get momentum to go to the next balance. So again, you would list it. I do have one of my old templates. I will share this now. So as I was trying to revitalize, change this, I will, let's see, how can I share this? Um, I'm gonna take a picture of this and share it with y'all. Give me 1 second, just so y'all can get an idea of how this will work with the debt snowball. I don't have a template for a debt avalanche method just because I didn't use it. And then most people go with this. Ooh, that's too high. Give me 1 second while I'm putting in random numbers. Hopefully it makes sense. Um, when I put it over here. Ooh. All right. So 3%. Bear with me, y'all. I'm popping in something to give y'all some type of a visual. 380. All right. So again, with the debt snowball, why it worked for me was after I paid that first balance off, I was like, oh my God, like I have one less payment that I have to worry about. And I put all my extra money towards the next debt. And when I was doing this, I came up with ways to make more money. So I have always said, like, I'm a corporate, I worked in corporate as a CPA. And so it's not typical you get overtime. I had changed employers and I actually had an opportunity to get overtime. So I was working overtime. And then I started my side hustle, which is now, um, crap, I gotta save this as a PDF. 1 second, y'all. It is now financial guardian, but what I started doing was I knew that I was good at talking about money and teaching about money. And so I started charging different programs to do my services. Back then I was charging $100 an hour. You couldn't tell me nothing. I was like $100 an hour. It took me a while to create it, but at the time I didn't have no website. I think I may have made some little bootleg business cards from Vistaprint and just word of mouth. I just had like I volunteered and did it for a minute before I thought about making this a way to make money. So I had testimonials from actual clients and children and parents and how impactful it was. And I'm like, oh, let's see what I can like. Let me see if this school would pay me $100 to come in. And so I was getting over because I'm like, I wish this is going directly to me. I didn't have a team. I didn't have nothing at the time. So I started, like I said, working overtime, and I started doing teaching financial literacy, which is basically if you were a teacher, you can do tutoring. I started coming up with different ways to make money to be able to pay off my debt. I just got creative because I just got more and more motivated once I seen like, okay, I can really do this. So overall, like I said, I had over $80,000 of debt, and it took me almost 3 years to pay it all off. but it was really because of the debt snowball method and my budgeting and the cash envelope system that had kept me on track. And I wouldn't do it any other way. But like I said, everyone, that may not work for you. If you are like, I'm not doing all of that, I don't want to budget, I don't want to have cash envelopes. But I tell you, because all the data shows like it's one of the most effective ways to do it. So I always try to encourage people to figure out if they could do it, they could change their money habits to get there. So I'm talking, I'm not looking at the screen yet because I was working on this file. So let's see um, if I can get this to show. Doing some quick copying and pasting, I should say, to try to give y'all some visual. All right, so this is okay. So I just dropped some numbers in here, like I said when I was talking to y'all. But if if I were to do a debt snowball, this is in Excel, I would just sort um by the total principal balance, and I would pay. I think I put in this credit card is the lowest. So this will be my area of focus. This is one that's $5,000, even though it has the highest interest rate, because I can tackle this $5,000. And then what I put in here is the minimum payments. So the minimum payment on this credit card, this is just a make believe example. The minimum payment is $135. But then I'm playing around with numbers, and if I'm like, okay, if I pay $400 a month, how long would it take me to pay this off? And then the other columns are kind of, it's doing the math for me. Like I told y'all, I love Excel. So I was really in here coming up with ways to show me this number. But there's calculators you can use online to play around with your numbers. And so that's why I was saying the debt snowball was the most effective, because when you're doing it this way, you're looking at, okay, how can I make this principal balance go away? And you can see, okay, if I increase my monthly payment by X amount of dollars, oh, I can pay this off in a year versus 3 years if I made the minimum payments. So in this screenshot I took, if I just made the minimum payments, I think I didn't put the actual monthly payment in there correctly, but in the time period to pay, if I just made the minimum payment, is 3 years, but I can make more of the payment towards it, and it's the 1 year. So what I would start to do is, okay, what's the maximum money I can throw at this? So when I was doing this debt payoff strategy, I was investing in my 401k only, because I was investing up to the employer match, because I'm not leaving no money on the table from that standpoint. And if you listen to Dave Ramsey, he says, do not do anything to pay off debt. That's why I said I remixed the debt snowball method to make it make sense for me, because I think I would have missed out on $43,000 or 50, it's something with a three at the end, 43 or $53,000 in compound interest in my employer match if I didn't invest in that time period I was paying off my debt, because the market was recovering really well at that time. So that's why I'm like, always invest up to your employer match. And that was helping my net worth. And I just got on fire to get extra income to pay off other debt. So one way you can remix this a little bit further, besides investing in your 401k up into your employer match, is give yourself a reward. In this example, there's a area over here that says reward for early payoff. So what I would do is every time I paid off a balance, I would go visit one of my friends who stay out of state. That was my reward for myself. So in other methods you hear, just keep going, just keep going. I'm like, no. So not only am I hurrying up to pay off this debt, I'm like, okay, if I pay off this balance, I know I can go out of town. Now, let me tell you, these were not vacations. I was going to visit my friends who stay out of state, which meant that I didn't have to pay for a hotel room. I stayed with them. So one of my good friends, she stays in Florida. So I was going to Florida. Another friend of mine at the time stayed in Philly, New Jersey. So I was always going to the East Coast. I would find me, this is when I did Fly Spirit. I would find me a cheap flight, and I would go visit them. And then when I was visiting my friends, because y'all know I'm frugal, that meant that we cooking at the house. We got food at home. So when I say I rewarded myself like for a payoff, I didn't pay off a $3,000 credit card balance and then go spend $2,000 rewarding myself on a nice vacation. Like the same spend I would have, whatever I would have spent at home, I spent when I was traveling, maybe $100 more. But that's like, okay, that's my reward for paying my, like, for paying that loan off. So I have been obsessed with travel, even when I was drowning in debt, but I did it um just a little bit at a time. Yeah, it's called the debt snowball method. So yes, yes, yes. I'm telling y'all, once you start doing it, you get laser focused on it. Um, and it really does create that momentum. But again, if you're just joining, make sure you hit that like button. Show me some love. And replay game, make sure you hit that like button as well. I already seen a couple comments come through that you want a video on demand of me going through the debt snowball method. So I'll have that done with actual numbers in there, like actually taking time to make it make sense. Because some of them numbers I put in there, the credit card could have been higher than the mortgage. I don't know. I was just putting in numbers just so y'all can see it visually. So yeah, let me see if I think that snowball was the last thing I had on there. So we may be popping off hopping off sooner than normal. I'm trying to think if there was anything else that I missed when it came to the other areas. I didn't. I think I think that's it, y'all. Hey, Maya. I'm like trying to make sure I went over everything. I was talking kind of fast, going through everything, but I think that's it. I already told y'all the ones I can't stand and I don't recommend. Um, balance transfers, did that. Let me go to my notes really quickly. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, that's it. So I am going to see if there's any other questions that pop in. Um, while I am waiting. Oh, you know what? Actually, I lied. I had one specific question. I covered it already. And this person was about student loans and if they should consolidate their private and their federal loans because they found out there's a way to do it. Um, I personally think that you should keep them separate, even if you don't want to do the debt snowball or avalanche method. I just personally think you should keep the federal and private separately, just because if you change your mind later and you want to take advantage, if your employment or income changes, you can do the income driven based payment plan. You may end up working in public service and qualify for public service forgiveness. Like I just think it should be kept separately. And typically, the federal um, student loan interest rate is lower than the private student loan interest rate. So, just all those factors, I just think that if you're going to consolidate them separately. And I would consolidate the federal under the actual federal consolidation way. But again, that's just going off the top of my head and not knowing the full financial scope of the situation. But I kind of covered that a little bit already with the student loan consolidations in the beginning. So that's it. I didn't see any more questions come through. Look out for that video. I think I can get it up within the next 2 weeks, maybe next week, but we just gonna say 2 weeks from now to be on the safe side. And I will see y'all next Sunday. Let me know what topics y'all want me to cover next Sunday. I'm thinking about doing 401k mistakes part 2 because I got a ton of 401k questions that came through in the live and even after the live. So I'm thinking about doing a 401k part 2 mistakes. Um yeah, or I may just do a travel video because I haven't talked a lot of travel in my lives. Last week was my first live talking about travel. So let me know if you any video topic ideas you want to see for the live, and I will see y'all next Sunday at 7 p.m. Bye.